Hi, I'm Mihajlovich, and today I'm commemorating Tank Man and the specific people who participated in the events leading up to Tank Man's specific and iconic stand against tyranny. The specific event to which I am referring is when an unknown civilian stood in front of a line of tanks, preventing them from leaving the Forbidden City in China on June 5th, 1989, the day after the Tiananmen Square massacre. The greater event that took place were the Tiananmen Square protests, and the specific event has no actual name, nor does the man himself. Tank Man is a name given to him by popular culture. His identity was unknown then, and it remains unknown to this day. Jeff Widener, who took the original photograph, remembers going back 20 years later to China, stating in a New York Times blog post, "My return to Beijing was filled with emotions. As I strolled through the streets of Beijing's Reitan Park, it was hard to image such hell took place there just 2 decades earlier." Weber, page 1. Tank Man is identified as standing apart from all others who have made a stand against oppression in our modern society. In the face of oppression and overwhelming force, he rose up for those of his countrymen who lost their lives in protest, and for all of those who pursue freedom. In quality, Tank Man becomes iconic because he stood alone. Moreover, his photo was taken without him knowing, and he never came forward to take credit for the event. This shows the truest quality, in my opinion, because in doing so, he let his actions speak for themselves. His quality of passion is truly evident when seeing him not only stop the tanks, but go further to jump up on top of the tanks and move in front of them repeatedly. From the short video, both his anger and his affection are evident. Tank Man characterizes bravery in that he knew the overwhelming force he was challenging. He characterizes freedom in doing what he thought was right, despite it being against the law. And he characterizes sacrifice above all else, because he took his stance without recourse for himself, without wherewithal for what might happen to him. Swelled up by his emotions of fervor and zeal and vehement dissent of his government, Tank Man stood alone. Though there has been no formal interview and no media exists of Tank Man other than the photos and videos taken on that day, we can still ascertain some of the obstacles he might have faced, the clearest obstacle of which is fear. Just the day before, thousands of students were killed for protesting in Tiananmen Square. Surely, Tank Man knew that this was the most likely outcome of his actions on that day. The most obvious obstacle were the tanks themselves. Under overwhelming odds, Tank Man continued to block the tanks, stopping them in their tracks, virtually meeting an unstoppable force with an immovable object. Tank Man's truest obstacle, of which he overcame, was oppression and the tyrannical rule of the Chinese government. He stood against persecution and overcame it, even if for only a moment. His actions make him an icon for all those who stand against authoritarianism in the 21st century. My specific relationship to Tank Man is one of admiration. I look up to Tank Man and what he stood for. I first saw the iconic photo of Tank Man when I was just a kid, and at the time, I didn't fully understand what the image meant. I went on to learn about the Tiananmen Square protests in school, and then continued researching post-Mao reform in China on my own time. My relationship to Tank Man is also one of learning. As Hubbard, page 3 states, "We do not merely view iconic photographs, but also learn from them, including how to be certain kind of subjects, what to hope for, and how to assess value." And while I am not of Chinese descent myself, as Hubbard, page 4, goes on to say, while Tank Man, as a public icon, conflated representation with event and embodied the local of China, it was never a purely local image. To me, the iconic image represents what I stand for, and is part of who I aspire to be. I leave you with the original video of Tank Man, taken back on that Monday in 1989.